guys, welcome back. This is Marisol with She Arises, doing the interview series, Strong Women Squad. We're continuing with Kylie. Say hello.
Hi everyone.
So this is Kylie, and before I let her introduce herself and give a little bit of background, I want her to say our signature statement, which is I am, followed by fill in the blank, because I believe that society always puts us in a box and it's time for us to define our own selves. So I am, if you could say I am and then fill in the blank with who you are.
Okay. I am determined.
So good. It definitely is. Knowing all of your background, how far you've come. So now I would like to ask you for, give us a little bit of background with as much as detail as you'd like.
It's been a long journey to get here. I didn't think I would. I grew up in a family where, you know, girls are raised a certain way and boys are raised a certain way. So for the first 21 years, I was very shy, introvert type of thing, type of person. And then I moved to Riverside, where I left my family, I left my friends, I left the people I was comfortable with. And so I realized I was more fun than I thought.
What age did you move to Riverside and for what?
21. I moved out when I was 21 to attend UC Riverside to get my bachelor's degree in psychology. So it was there that I discovered my fun self. So I joined a sorority. That was interesting. And you know, I got to find myself and realized that I had more potential than I gave myself credit for. So, and that it progressed to different doors opening up for me. I got my first actual foot in the door psychology job when I was 21, 22, and that just opened more doors for me. And so here I am now, a month away from finishing my second master's degree.
Congrats.
Thank you.
That's huge. That's definitely a determined woman right here.
Very. It's been exactly 10 years since I graduated high school.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. So I've been in college for 10 years. That's crazy.
With 2 masters.
With 2 masters.
Yeah.
I keep forgetting
That's
that part. So I got my first one in forensic psychology. That gave me the background that I needed to know in regards to forensic, working with court systems, police departments, with criminals, with victims. And then now I'm getting my second master's in counseling psychology to be a marriage and family therapist, hopefully licensed one day, with a specialty in domestic violence, sexual assaults, teens, crisis management, trauma, some of the more tougher topics.
Yes,
than
definitely.
People would like.
And so you've been working in the field per se while pursuing your degrees.
Yes.
Correct.
Since 21, I've had experience working with women with eating disorders, and in that facility I've encountered women that went through traumatic events that led them to develop an eating disorder. I work with individuals with autism, anywhere from 3 years old to, I think my oldest client was probably 19. We did community-based outings. I worked with at-risk teens in group home settings, and I just finished my traineeship at a high school as their school therapist.
Very nice.
That's amazing. How old are you, if you don't mind us asking?
28.
28.
Yes.
You should be over here right now. Just kidding.
Sorry.
It's all good. We love it. Raquel is behind the scenes. She'll do a
Narrating.
little live feed. You'll see, yes. Anyway, so you've got your 2 masters. You've been working in the field. You've got all this experience. Do you have any any stories or any people that you've worked with that have like really made an impact in your life? I'm sure all of them have in some way. Is there any one or two?
There's been a lot, and it's, I didn't realize it until now that majority of my professors, of the people that I worked for, are women.
Nice.
And it's, I think now looking back in all of it, it's like, okay, the traineeship that I just finished, it's ran by 3 strong women that developed an agency that provide free counseling services to school kids.
That's awesome.
And so it was a big stepping stone. My current professors and directors and chairmen of my program, they're women, they're strong women, and it's a lot of influence,
So you would say like your field is a women-dominated field?
It is. And I would love to have more male therapists, male colleagues. I know maybe about 5, but most people think that for therapy it's a women's place, other than being in the kitchen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we do need more male therapists.
So speaking of the women's place, you said you grew up in an environment or culturally where women were to follow certain roles, and I'm sure that might have not lined up with your being so determined and getting 2 masters. How has that, if any, affected your life?
It's a struggle. Part of my backstory is I'm the youngest of 3 kids. I'm the only girl, so that was like a double-edged sword right there. But it was a fight to get to where I am. Surely my family didn't want me to move out. They wanted me to stay home. They were comfortable with me being home, and that was part of our culture.
Yes.
You don't leave until you're married.
Yes.
But at the same time, they wanted me to be educated, so it was like, what do you want from me?
Yes.
So eventually I stuck to my grounds. I chose Riverside, and I was like, hey, there's no other choice. I have to leave,
Nice.
And so I did, and that, if anything, that move made me closer to my family.
That's very interesting because a lot of the times people experience, what would you call, like, tension. No, like where
tension.
Families get torn apart, kind of,
Because
with
we chose our own
big
path.
decisions like
Yeah.
this happen. But I'm glad to hear that it actually brought you guys together.
I think at first there was some tension, and there's always been some, segue into me moving home. But I think they saw my potential. And to this day, it's hard for them to grasp the idea of me in this field, of me not being at home. But they understood. I think for me, I needed that distance
Yeah.
to find my own self.
Yeah.
And I did, and that's great. And, I'm more open-minded to things. I'm able to be more open-minded with my family and for my family, and kind of open their minds a little bit more.
Do you think you would have reached this far or this level of success having 2 masters had you stayed at home and gone to school from home?
Probably not.
Or somewhere local? No?
No, because if I still stayed at home, I think I would still have that controlled factor.
Yes.
And, we live in a small community. And so everywhere I turned, there would be someone's like, oh, you're so-and-so's sister, you're so-and-so's daughter, you're so-and-so's cousins. I would run into somebody, and I was always paranoid
Yeah.
as to, okay, who's watching me, who's going to report what?
Yeah.
Because I was a little sister, and I was a little cousin, so that was always on my mind, what are my friends watching?
Yeah, all the
Type of thing.
time. All right. Well, I'm glad that your choice to journey and to go follow your dreams turned out well, and that it brought you guys closer together. And I would like to know if you had any role models growing up. Who was your role model or your idol? Anyone you looked up to?
I did, and I do, and I changed. But honestly,
That's a follow-up question too. Has it changed?
yes.
So who was your first?
My first would be all the females who played in the Power Rangers.
Ah! Shout out to the Pink Ranger. That was my favorite.
So honestly, like, you know, again, I was raised in a house of boys, and so I was always a little rough. So I enjoyed like martial arts and stuff like that.
Ahorita no más, gracias.
And so, you know, I grew up watching the Power Rangers. And that's like my thing.
So the Power Rangers. All of the Power Rangers.
I think up to, I don't know, I stopped watching after a certain point, but all the females in the Power Rangers, good or bad,
Alright.
they were kick-ass.
They were definitely kick-ass. I love the Pink Ranger. I thought I was the Pink Ranger. Nobody could tell me different. Didn't matter what I wore, I was the Pink Ranger. How about, you said it changed. Who's your role model now?
It's gonna sound like a cliche, but my mom, you know, and it's, and
Hey, our moms are freaking amazing. Shout out to Mama Rosa!
woo!
I love you! Moms are amazing. Like,
They are.
they birthed us, they put up through all our stuff, they cared for us. I mean, yes, shout out to moms. So,
you know, and so in my family we've had a lot of differences and obstacles, and you know, we experienced a tragedy a year ago, and so I think through all that, seeing how my mom handled it helped me.
I'm so sorry. It's okay.
And so it's, you know, and
So just so you know, background, Kylie lost her dad a year ago to cancer. That's probably the worst thing that could happen to anyone. I've lost someone close. Not being so helpless, not being able to like take any of the pain away. It's just really hard.
so before he was diagnosed a decade ago, he was sick and he had to do, you know, brain surgery, and I was 14 at the time, so it was scary, you know. But my mom, she was just driven, you know. She worked nonstop. When everything was all said and done, you know, the roles reversed, and that's, I think, where I saw the biggest change in my family was the role reversed, where instead of now both parents working, my dad was at home, my mom was the one that's working. And so, you know, that was a difficult adjustment, but you know, everything that I've done now, you know, right after he passed, I only took like 2 days off work and I was like back at it.
How the hell did you do that?
I have no idea.
Excuse my language.
But, you know, it was like, and I realized that's what she did. Well, that's her personality.
Yeah.
You know, so I had the chance to take time off of school and I didn't do that. I'm like, I only have a year left, might as well just finish it. And I know that's what my dad would have wanted, was to just finish school and do something. And so, you know, it was a tough situation and I made tough calls, but in the end, you know, going through that experience with him and experiencing all this hardship, it opened your eyes, you know. And so
To a new perspective.
it does, and you realize what type of people you need in your life, what type you don't, what you can put up with, what you should, what you shouldn't, you know. And it's, And through all that, again, going back to my role model, my mom, she's just held her own, and I think through that she was able to entrust in me to take care of my dad through that time.
Yeah.
So the pros and cons of having a psychology background is the con is you think you should act a certain way. So in my head, I'm like,
Because the books tell you that?
yeah. So, and it's something, it's society.
Yeah.
It's, if someone passes away, you should take time to grieve. You should be so sad. You should be depressed. And in my head, I'm like, something is wrong with me because I'm not that. I just want to keep going. I want to keep working. But the other side of the pro is I get to rationalize it. Like, no, this is how I'm dealing with it.
Exactly.
Some people choose alcohol. Some people choose different substances. Some people choose work or all that stuff. And I chose work. I was able to still maintain my workload in my school. And the great thing about being a psychology major and studying to be a therapist is all my teachers know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
So they were very...
So you had a tribe of psychologists.
Yeah, so they weren't like, you don't have to if you want to. It's your choice. So they understood the mental break that I needed.
Yeah.
And working in a field that is surrounding psychology, they know how important mental health is. So I think that was the huge benefit.
Yeah.
Is I worked in a field where they understood mental health.
Yeah. That mental health is a huge topic that is not talked about enough across the board. Rich people, poor people, all cultures, regardless of status, mental health, and the worst part is you can't see it. So you could be hurting internally and people will say you're crazy because you look just fine.
Yeah. And it's, working with individuals with autism, it's an eye-opener.
Yes.
Because they can look normal. I mean, how are you supposed to look if you have autism, right? It's your behavior and it's how you approach things. Just because they have special needs doesn't mean you have to dumb things down. Some of my clients, you challenge them and they rise to the occasion. I had a client, started with him when he was 3, we finished when he was 6 because he mastered everything. His behaviors was appropriate, right? And he was like 6-year-old playing chess.
Nice.
I can't play chess and I'm 28. He was teaching me how to play chess. And he's just super smart. And it's like, just because you have a label doesn't mean it defines you, right? So just because you have a mental health issue doesn't mean that you're crazy.
Yeah.
Or you need medication or whatever. It's just, you can be sad. It's okay to be sad. You can have a rough background and it affects how you grow up. That's psychology. You're influenced by the things around you.
So we're moving on to another question. We're speaking about the youth, and I would like to know if there's any advice that you would like to give young girls.
Don't stop. Don't let anyone stop you. Anything. There's always going to be something in the way, something preventing us from achieving what we want to achieve. But it's, we have to see the bigger picture. In going to school and moving out and developing the E.V.E.R project, I never saw obstacles. I saw the bigger picture. I saw, this is what I can do for my community. This is how I'm going to do it. And it wasn't until I started doing it that I realized this is something I have to overcome. This is something I have to deal with. And then it just kept going, and I'm here. I overcame them. Those things are temporary. And if you invest your mind into what you believe in, it's going to get you so far. And so just don't stop. No matter what your parents say, your family, your friends, just, if you have heart in something, if you truly believe in something, go for it. Give it your all. Invest $150,000.
Yes. Power.
You know, and it's gonna get you far if you have the mindset and the determination to do it, and support group.
And a support group. Who do you want to shout out some of the people that have been in your support group?
There has been so many. I'm gonna clump them into groups so I don't
Groups
forget
are good.
anyone. My family, my Argosy family, my boyfriend. Any other groups? CPLA. The supervisors and directors have helped me so much in developing this. My work family. I work so many places, so all of my work family. And it's a lot of people have gotten me this far. Majority of them have been women, which is great. You know, and I know I shout out to my boyfriend earlier, but huge shout out to him for putting up with me and putting up with my rants and my ideas. And I can't tell you, our apartment was like filled with all of the E.V.E.R project stuff. And I get like, when is this gonna be clean? I'm like, when I'm done. Right? So it's just his patience, you know. Trust me, it's having a strong support group to get me through my education, to get me through coping with the passing of my dad, to get me to where I am now with a month left of school. I love everyone in my support group. I love all my friends and families. So thank you for getting me this far. You guys had a big impact.
You're the real MVP.
She's one of them. She's
Yes. Mwah. I've always, even though we don't hang out every day, not nearly enough, I always check in on you, and I'm always thinking about you and praying for you and praying for your success. I am so proud. Just, it's amazing. I'm so lucky that you agreed to join the Strong Women Squad so that we can inspire anyone that we can inspire. So yes.
And just remembered Westminster High School. Shout out to them and my teachers, Miss Moore, who has welcomed me back into her classes and allowed me to do my work with the E.V.E.R project in her class.
Shout out to Miss Moore.
Go Lions!